Hello everyone, welcome back to the homestead and to our gardens today. We aren't able to do a full garden tour, it just takes a lot of time. So I thought it'd be at least fun to go around and show you some of the joys and sorrows of our late summer gardens. So we're going to start in our backyard with some of the joys of that space.
The first joy is a patch of chard back that survived the muscovys. Most of the other chard has been eaten up by them.
Yes, we have some muscovies that keep getting into the garden this year, and they just really love that chard. So we're thankful to still have a little patch left of it. And the next thing in the back garden is that we recently planted 2 apricot trees, and this year they are really taking off, especially one of them. It's gotten huge, and so we're excited that it's happy in that space and looking forward to some year having some apricots.
Yep. The next joy is an unexpected self-seeded Zenya Patch in my artistic garden.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, I gave her a little space in the back garden. It's kind of circular and it has 4 spots in it, and she did kind of a little artistic thing with it in the spring. And after those plants came out, just a bunch of zinnias took over, and it's been really fun having that extra patch of zinnias in the backyard. So beautiful. The next fun thing in the backyard is that we have some transplanted morning glories. They're actually wild, and they kept coming up in our spearmint patch. We had to keep ripping them out of our spearmint patch because they were trying to take over. And so this year, early in the spring, as I saw them coming up, I transplanted a bunch of them to the very back garden fence line, and they seem to be loving it there. So I'm hoping that a new home for them will allow us to keep them out of our spearmint and still enjoy their beauty, because they are really beautiful.
The next thing is one of our favorite zinnias called Purple Prince that we love back there.
Yeah, we planted about 4 or 5 plants in the backyard of the Purple Prince zinnia, kind of toward the back. They really stand out. I love that variety. It's been a favorite for years.
Yep.
So some of the sorrows of the backyard are we still are trying to get rid of an invasive species. It's a plant that we planted years ago, and we've been trying to get rid of it ever since. It is beautiful. It's a variety of Primrose, so it does have pretty pink flowers, but it grows crazy here in Missouri. It will just take over a space in no time. It gets all through the pathways. You can pull it up, but the roots remain in the ground, and they just keep growing and growing and growing. So we're still trying to get rid of it.
Yeah. The next sorrow is cucumbers that we planted in the back garden. We think because they're on the north side of the house, they didn't get enough sun, so they got overtaken by some sort of mildew.
We were really hoping to be able to make some more pickles. And then the last sorrow of kind of that section of the garden is a trellis issue. It's in the white garden. It's the wrong size trellis for the plant, and it kept blowing over, and so we finally just left it blown over. The plant that's growing on it, I think it's called Virgin's Bower. It's a very productive vining plant that has really pretty white flowers, but we're gonna have to get some kind of trellis going all the way around our tank tower and attach it somehow so that that vine can grow up and have a strong place to hang on to. Alright, so then moving around the corner into the main part of our kitchen garden, some of the joys are the fall anemone. The variety is called Robustissima, and last year it got overtaken by blister beetles and almost didn't make it, but this year it's doing fantastic, and we're really enjoying its color in the garden. And then another joy is the 1,000-head kale that we planted back in the spring, believe it or not. Some of it is still going, and we're still harvesting from it. So that's pretty amazing for kale to go that long and not have bolted or gone bad. We did have a few of them that were done, and we cut those out, but the rest of them are still going, and it's just an amazing kale variety. Really enjoying it.
The next joy is the strawberries and cream dahlias that are in the butterfly garden that we're just loving. Yeah,
they've been so abundant and really fun.
Yeah. I'm also excited to see how the quick pick pink eye cowpeas do. I love to cook and eat them.
Yeah, they're, if you're not familiar with cowpeas, they're like a small dry bean almost. They do have a different flavor than beans, Some people love them, some people don't. Esther in particular loves them, and so we planted them for the first time last year, and they did so well that we decided to do it again this year, and they are looking to be a great harvest. Lots of pods on them. It's really nice because the pods are up high on the plant, so they're super easy and quick to harvest, which is a blessing.
Yep. And this variety actually gets to be pretty big when you cook them.
So another joy in the kitchen garden, which also has a sorrow connected to it. We tried a new combination of planting this year, and it was sunflower seeds down the middle of the bed and then all around the outside bush beans. So I think that's going to be a really great combination. But the sorrow that goes with that is that all of our second planting of bush beans has been mostly destroyed by the muscovies getting in the garden. They absolutely love the little blossoms and the leaves. Yep. And so between them and the bugs, there's not many beans left. So we'll see if we get any fall harvest of bush beans this year. This sorrow is seriously making us consider whether we want to have muscovies on the homestead anymore or not. We started talking about it as a family. Because they can fly, they can get into the gardens whenever they want. Unless we set up a really huge enclosed yard for them, I just don't think they would do very well. So yeah, muscovies may have to go. We'll see.
Another joy is that the fall starts have survived our heat.
Yeah, fall planting can be difficult here in Missouri because even into September we get some really hot temperatures still. So I'm excited that the fall starts are still alive. The Vegeta bed does stay mostly in the shade, so those ones are hopefully going to do really well. So another joy is that we're finally getting butternut squash. We planted a lot of butternut squash in different places, but unfortunately a lot of the seeds had crossed with other varieties, so a lot of what we thought was going to be butternut ended up being Zucchino rampicante. Or a cross of another variety that we grew last year. So we're excited to see that we finally have a patch that looks like it's almost all butternut. We really like butternut squash.
Another joy is that the girls' flowers in their garden is a really pretty combination with white, purple, and peach.
It wasn't planned. It's always fun when you get something that you didn't plan and it ends up being a really pretty combination. Another thing that I'm really enjoying this year is composting. It's the first year that we've been able to really focus a bit more on building compost, and we've had the space to do it, so that's been exciting to see the compost bins growing.
Another joy for my mom is that one of her plants had babies.
Yes, I often will just buy one plant because perennial plants especially can be really expensive and hard to grow from seed. So a few years ago I bought one Adam's Needle Color Guard yucca plant, and it didn't really do well the first year. I didn't know if it was going to make it, but anyway, this year it had 2 little babies. So I'm really excited to see if those babies survive and I can spread them into other places of the garden. That's exciting for me.
And me.
And you. So the other sorrow in the kitchen garden, other than the muscovies getting in and destroying things like our bush beans, is that we didn't get much fruit from our fruit trees this year. And I don't know if you remember, in the spring we had a lot of blossoms and we were very excited. We even put up bug traps for the first time this year, so we were really hopeful of getting a lot of fruit, but it just didn't happen. Most of the fruit either was infested with worms or bugs or got diseased and just fell to the ground, and so that was really sad. We did get a few apples and a couple pears, but not like we were hoping for. So I've saved seed, and we are going to try and plant apple and pear trees from seed, which we've never done before, in hopes that maybe those will produce better for us here in Missouri with our crazy weather and bugs and disease. So we'll see.
Moving on to the patio area, the first joy is a random Zucchino rampicante plant growing along the fence that no one knows how it got there. Right.
We asked the girls if they planted it and they didn't really know. So somehow it got planted in a random spot and it's loving it. And yeah, we've harvested a a few off of it already, and it has a bunch of babies growing on it right now, so that's fun.
Yep.
The other thing is the cherry tomatoes that you planted are doing fantastic. We've had to actually use an old laundry line to help trellis it, because one of them just keeps growing and growing in that direction. So yeah, those have been fun. Having a snack right there off the patio. Also in our patio areas where we've been so joyful to be able to have our curing rack and space to cure and dry food. And right now there's a bunch of sweet potatoes curing. And that's been a really fun harvest. Sweet potatoes have done really well for us this year, and we got a lot of really big ones. We started our harvest a little earlier than normal because last year a bunch of underground varmints ate through a bunch of them by the time we harvested them. So this year we had hardly any damage from little underground guys. We still have a few beds to harvest, so I think we've got about 70% of our sweet potatoes harvested. That's been a joy.
Yeah. Moving out to the main crop, our raspberries have been a joy. We've been getting a lot this year and are looking forward to making some jelly.
Yep, Heritage is the variety, and it's love and life where we put it. So hoping to put in a couple more raspberry beds along that edge between the play area and the main crop garden.
Yep.
Also, your dahlias you started from seed have been a lot of fun. They've been a joy. This is the first year of starting dahlias from seed, and they've done amazing. Also in the main crop right now, because it's not finished, we have space for a huge compost heap, and that's a joy to me. It came out of our winter mucking of the barn and it was moved over wagon load by wagon load. I don't know if we're going to get to rotating it. We may try and turn it one more time before it gets used next spring and summer, but I'm looking forward to being able to fill some new garden beds and top off some of our old ones with that compost.
The next thing is our San Marzano and Celebrity tomatoes are still producing.
It's been exciting to have so many tomatoes to preserve this year, huh? Another joyful thing in the kitchen garden is kind of a combination that we didn't plan, again, that worked really well. It's our violet wild petunias, peppers, and purple basil. It's a variety called Red Reuben, and I don't know, just the three of them together are so beautiful and have worked really well. The peppers have been thriving, and really a fun combination that I think we're going to repeat next year.
The next joy is one of our original Zucchini rampicante plants we planted in the spring keeps coming back. We think it's dead, but then it just comes back again.
Yeah, it's like a cat with 9 lives. It is an amazing plant, the way it just keeps rerooting and coming back to life and producing. It's fun. Another joy in the main crop garden is the Cherokee Trail of Tears black beans. They're a dry bean, and we've grown them for years. They're really productive every year, but this year I think they're more productive than ever.
Yeah.
We've already gotten a good first harvest off of them, and there's plenty more to come throughout the fall. We'll keep harvesting off of just a few plants. I think it's only about 8 plants maybe that we planted, so that's exciting.
The next joy in the main crop is another combination of plants. This time we planned it. It's rhubarb, lemongrass, and moringa.
Yeah, we've had issues with the rhubarb not liking our heat of July and August, sometimes even September, and the plants just die off and never come back. So this year we thought we'd provide some shade for them with the lemongrass. And then the moringa. We've never had moringa grow so big so fast. So that's a fun combination. And then just beyond that, the swale that we have uphill from our main crop area was completely overtaken with weeds partway into the summer, and Josh and some of the others helped out. You helped out too, huh? Yeah. Getting those weeds out of there, and it's actually looking pretty nice now. With the lamb's ear and garlic chives and autumn joy sedum, so that's exciting.
The next joy is we have a ton of sweet peppers, so many that we don't even know what to do with them all.
Yeah, this is the first year where we've grown a lot of sweet peppers, and they're doing, most of them are all doing fantastic. So last week we tried creating a recipe for a sweet pepper relish, and it turned out really yummy.
Yeah.
So they say. I can't eat peppers, I'm allergic to them, but the rest of the family seem to like that. So many of them are going into salsa, but we're trying to come up with some other creative ways to preserve the sweet peppers. If you have any good ideas for us, please leave it in the comments below. Another joy in the main crop area is an experiment that worked. We had some people comment a while back saying that in order to keep the squash bugs and the squash boreworms away from your squash that you want to harvest from, you can plant a Hubbard variety of squash to be like a trap plant to trap all the bugs. So we tried that. We didn't have Hubbard squash, but we had a variety, I think it's a curry squash, so it's kind of similar. And we planted that down the center of the bed and then put our summer squash on either side. And all of those trap plant squash plants died pretty quickly. They succumbed to the boreworms. But it gave time for our other summer squash to grow up and thrive, and we harvested a bunch from them. They are starting to get boreworms now, but the plants are huge, and so they're kind of surviving it and still producing. So that worked. Thank you to whoever recommended that. I think there were a few people that recommended doing that. So I'm actually going to buy Hubbard squash seeds for next year and do that all over the place as a trap, so that the other squash can survive and we can get a better harvest off of those.
Yep. Oh, and we also got a bonus squash from the trap plant.
Yes, that's true. The squash that we planted, I think it was like a red curry, like I said, we got a squash from it before the plant died. So even those trap plants can be productive as well. Another joy in the main crop area is because of all the extra space we had, I was able to plant 4 red roselle or hibiscus plants. They're a plant that we start from seed in the greenhouse in the spring, and some years they just don't have the time to get to maturity, and all we can really do is save the leaves from them. But this year it looks like we're going to have a bunch of the calyxes because they're starting to be blooms on the plants. We still have over a month before our first frost, so I'm excited to be able to get a bunch of the calyxes from the hibiscus for lovely, delicious hibiscus tea.
The only real sorrow of the main crop garden, other than the chickens getting in and destroying some lettuce, is the melons. They didn't do so well this year. We usually get a lot more melons than that.
Yeah, we've grown our melons in past years in really fertile soil. This year I didn't really have anywhere to put them other than in a bed that wasn't so great, and they didn't do so great. We definitely need to add some compost and amendments to that bed and plant the melon somewhere else next year.
Yeah.
And the last thing for today is something we can't decide if it's a joy or a sorrow. I don't know about you, but this time of year we get these giant spiders. Some people call them garden spiders, some people call them, what, banana spiders? And they make like this zipper design in their web. They're kind of pretty, but kind of really scary looking too. They're huge, and sometimes they surprise me and I'm not expecting them to be there. So I don't know if that's a joy or a sorrow.
Yeah.
I think that's it for today. Thanks for joining us for some garden joys and sorrows. Before we go, I do want to give a shout out to a channel. We don't do this very often, but we were recently visited by a family from Alaska. The father and his sons were working to build a log cabin right near us here in Missouri. And so they stopped by real quick, and it was really a joy to meet them. They have a YouTube channel called
Montana Haven, Alaska Edition.
So they were originally from Montana, moved to Alaska a couple years ago, and look to have just a really neat channel, very faith and family oriented. They've got some amazing skills. The cabin they built here in Missouri was beautiful. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, please check them out and let them know that Thousands of Roots sent you over. We will put the link to their channel in the description below. Thank you as always to our patrons who make these videos possible. I do want to say those who are waiting for us to plant trees for you, Unfortunately, some of the trees that we had intended to plant didn't make it. They've been in pots too long. We're waiting and hoping to plant trees on Josh's new homestead plot here on our land. So the hope is that the seeds that we start from the fruit of our own trees will be the next Patreon trees that we are able to plant for Josh on his land. So thank you for being patient, patrons, and thank you as always as well to those who comment and share our videos. We appreciate that. Until next time, we pray blessings over you and yours. And whatever you do, do it with your whole heart.